Had no credit, no job history, but I figure out how to buy $100,000 worth of real estate anyway. And this episode, guys, is the full blueprint. Welcome to this Boom Effect podcast. Guys, the boom stands for being bold, obsessed, optimistic, and lastly, having a mindset that's abundant. And that's exactly what we do on this podcast episodes, guys. So make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Guys, if you're not familiar with me, my name is Mamadou Diallo. I grew up in a refugee camp in Belgium from the age of 11 to the age of 16. And that's actually where I learned my English. My English is self-taught. So if I can do these strategies in the US market, then you can absolutely do it and anybody can do it, guys. So first thing first, I'm going to start by telling you guys, how did I find my first deal where I made $84,000 net. It was a fix and flip where I didn't bring no job history. I didn't bring credit at all. I flipped the property, and in the back end, I made net $84,000. And we've done dozens of deals like this. So it's a strategy called obviously creative finance, right? And these strategies, guys, even back in Belgium, I've tried to do this kind of strategies. I've tried a real estate, and I want us to know, all of us. This is just a reminder to myself as well, how lucky we are to be in the real estate US market, because a lot of these creative ways of buying houses, subject to owner finance, a lot of the creative financing that you might have through, hard money lenders does not exist in most countries, believe it or not, even the credit, right? And so I want you to understand, as somebody who spent probably 17 years of his life abroad working in Belgium, and tried to do real estate, and absolutely didn't work out because the most thing I could aspire for was to be a real estate agent, right? And so how did I find my first deal? The first deal that I found, guys, was what we would call a tired landlord. I'm going to tell you guys how I found the property. I'm going to tell you guys how did I structure the deal, and how was I zero money out of pocket? How did it not show in credit? And how did we make $84,000? So this guy was a tired landlord. This is in Waldorf, Maryland, beautiful county in Maryland. And he had a single family. Actually, the homeowner is still a friend of mine today. He's still a really good friend of mine today. But at the time, I didn't know him. He came through a cold call. For those of you that don't know, maybe you've never invested here in the US, you could find distressed homeowners, right? You can find homeowners that potentially want to sell their home off market. You can use sites like PropStream, you can use PropWire, you can use Zillow. There's so many different sites you can use to pull a list of homeowners that have owned their properties 6 years or more. Find their numbers. You can go on TruePeopleSearch.com. It's absolutely free. Get their numbers and call them and see if they're interested in selling. And this guy came out of the list that we had pulled, and the list is a tired landlord list. Tired landlord is very straightforward, exactly the way you just heard it, right? If somebody who owns a property is tired of maybe dealing with the tenants, or somebody that operate not as a business, meaning they're doing everything themselves, they're fixing the toilets themselves, right? They're collecting the rent themselves, and they also have a 9 to 5, and they're getting sick and tired of the property, so they're a tired landlord. So we had a list, and at the time, I had a virtual assistant that works for me, and she called this homeowner, and his name is Anthony. When Anthony picked up, Anthony said, "Hey, I'm interested in selling the property. My daughter, I think, was living in the property. She completely destroyed the property, and he was no longer looking to keep the home. This used to be his primary residence, right? So he used to live there, raise his kids in these homes. He's owned it for over 15, 20 years." And now that he's about to get his daughter out of the home, he would like to essentially list it on the market and sell it. The issue is, if you know anything about houses, obviously, if you have a tenant or even family members living in the house, most likely 15, 20 years later, when they vacate the property, you have to do some renovation if you really want to have full market asking price for the home. What I mean by that is, in real estate, we use a term called ARV. It's called after repair value. If you want to sell that property for what that property is absolutely worth on the market as a brand new property, you're going to have to do the renovations, which he wasn't trying to do. He already has a 9 to 5. He doesn't need this home. He's not trying to be a landlord anymore. He just had a very, very bad experience with it. And so he said, yes, I would potentially be interested in selling it, but I'm not taking less than, I think he was asking around like $368,000 or 375. And so the home obviously need work. He told me you have to renovate the property. It's not like also like it was completely destroyed, but like you have to update the kitchen. You had to update the floors, new paint, change the light fixture. So it was what we consider a cosmetic renovation, but still the property need full work in order to have its full value, on the market. Now he was getting a lot of calls, not just me. If you guys start doing off market, property market, so if you start pulling this list, calling this homeowner, start negotiating with them. Guys, English is my fifth language. If I can sit down, take a phone, call homeowners, have a conversation, negotiate with them, put them under contract, you can do it. Most people are just afraid to pick up the phone and call, right? But there is endless opportunities like this, right? And so he said, listen, I'm not trying to renovate the home. I don't need necessarily the money. Me and my wife and I, we already bought a home that is worth around $1 million, not too far from that property itself. But I'm not taking less than $378,000. It was $368,000. Now, the first time I talked to him, I didn't know why he was married to that price. I didn't know why he was married to that price. And so he said the property need work, but obviously he's never renovated homes. He cannot tell me how much the property needs work. But also, I'm not the only person calling him. He already had, I don't know, 1,000 conversations with people that want to buy a home. They've been offering him around 350, 340, 290, but nobody got close to the number that he wants, which is the 368 or 375. I don't remember exactly the price, guys. This is in Waldorf. I'm gonna put the link to the property address in the comments below. Once I post this episode, you guys will see we did a beautiful renovation on that property. We even added a theater inside the property. Right, we sold it way over that actually we thought we would be able to sell it. And so he's like, Mamadou, listen, I do want to sell the home. I'm getting a lot of calls about this property. I'm not taking less than $378,000. And everybody's offering me 350. There is no way. Then what I'll do is I'll just wait till my daughter gets out of the house, or was it his son? It was one of his kids. And so I'm gonna wait till my daughter gets out. And when my daughter gets out, then I will take the property and list it on the market and sell it as is. And I'm sure if I list it on the MLS, the multi-listing services, I'll get a higher offer than what investors, cash buyers are offering me off market, right? Guys, whenever you call a homeowner, right, one of our number one favorite niche to call on is pre-foreclosures. These are homeowners that are on the verge of losing their home to the auction through the bank. And the reason for that is because they haven't paid their mortgage for 3 months, 6 months, whatever. And, for, loss of a job, maybe they're going through divorce, whatever the case may be, but they don't have the money to get caught up on those payments. And so the lender is trying to foreclose on the home. Those are our best, lead source that we actually love to call, right? This strategy works well with those kind of people. And so when you call these homeowners, though, you have competition. You're not the only person calling them. You're not the only person making them cash offers. So I said, you know what, Anthony, I don't know what the property needs in terms of work. I don't know if I can do the 378, because I'm sure if every other cash buyer is offering you 350, they've ran the numbers and they've realized based on what they could sell it for and what potentially the house need in terms of work, after they spend everything to be able to make a profit, they cannot pay more than that for cash. Why is that? Because if somebody is buying the property cash, 99.9% of fix and flippers that buy properties cash, they don't use their own money. They go to what we call hard money lenders, or traditional financing, but they always have to put down payments, they have to pay points, they pay high interest rates. And so in order for them to be able to make a little bit of profit in the back end, they have to buy these properties at 30 cents on the dollar or 50 cents on the dollar. Sometimes it's not even about lowballing the homeowners. It's just the money itself for them to secure their financing, right, already cost them money. Right now, talk about renovations, operating costs, contingencies. This is in case they have delays and miscellaneous fees, renovations that they didn't plan upfront. So all of those things make it to where if the offer, even if it's 5K more than that 350, maybe the deal doesn't work. So I told Anthony, listen, I'm gonna come and meet you at the property, and I need to put an eye on it. So if you're willing potentially to wait for me to come in and renovate this property, and then when I list it on the market and sell it, only then you get your $368,000. Only then. So on paper, I'm willing to give you the $368,000, but contrary to these cash buyers, I am not offering you all that money upfront cash. That's not what I'm doing. I'm accepting. We're putting an agreement in place. We're saying yes, my company, my LLC, is buying this property for $368,000, but you're only getting paid in 6 to 7 months because I got to get the time, obviously, to renovate the property, put it on the market, list it, wait for offers to come in, and then accept one offer. If that offer goes through, and then we close, boom, then you get your $368,000 at that point, right? And he was like, why the heck would I do that? At first, he said no. He said, why the heck would I do that? I said, listen, let's do this. Don't tell me no right now, because obviously everybody else is not offering the 350 the 378 that you want. How about we meet tomorrow at the property? If I look at it, if I really like it, then I might be a buyer, maybe not. I don't know. Let's just meet tomorrow. So the next day when I came to walk the property, guys, I didn't even walk the property. I didn't even walk the property. What I did is I shook his hand and we stood there at the stairs. He actually sat down and I was standing in front of him. And I told him, listen, here's the deal. Nobody's offering you the price that I'm offering you. So technically I'm overpaying for the property. And I ran him through, because he obviously never flipped the property. I ran him through when somebody is flipping a home and they have to go secure financing to buy the property, all the money they have to spend up front for the hard money lender to give them the money, right? So they have to put 15-20% down. They have to pay points up front. They pay high interest rates. So now every single month, while they're renovating the property for the next 6 to 7 months, guess what? Their expenses are super high. Then you're talking about upkeep for the property, electricity, water, lawn, you name it, insurance for the workers, right? And so I told him that is the reason why these people are offering you 350, because if they pay anything higher than that, by the time they close on the property the first time before they even start the renovation, they're already negative. Now, when we did the comparables on this property, we realized in the back end, you could potentially, it was just potentially, you could potentially sell the property for around like $490,000, right? And so I think that the house needed like what, 84. We spent like 84 to $90,000 into the home because everything needed to be changed, like the roof, HVAC, flooring, absolutely like new kitchen, everything brand new. It's not like the house wasn't completely destroyed, but it wasn't like, I think this was back in 2022 or 20. Yeah, I think it was back in 2022. And so it still needs about 84 to $90,000 worth of renovations. And so I told him, number one, if you're willing to become my bank, essentially, I'll give you more than what everybody else is offering you, which technically I'm overpaying for the property because nobody else is offering you that yet. And then also, I can close faster. And the reason for that is because now I don't have to go deal with a hard money lender, submit my credit, wait for them to check my credit, and then go through all the paperwork process. It might take them like 14 days. No, it might take them like 30 days. I don't know, depending on your experience. Sometimes they do it faster, but still, that was my selling point. That's number one. I told them also, number two, right? If I go through a hard money lender, it might even take me longer to sell the property on the market. And the reason for that, guys, is because if you renovate a property and you list it on the market and the offers that you're getting is like FHA, first time home buyers, typically they want to see at least 90 days of ownership, right, of the property. And when I went in with the general contractor and we looked at the renovation that he needed, he told us it's not going to take more than like probably 60 days to renovate the property. So I was counting 60 days, maybe then 1 month or 2 months to sell the property. So if I have to keep the property at least 3 months before I can even sell it, even if we go in and renovate the property, now I have to sit down with this property just to complete the ownership, because I looked at all the comparables of the homes that sold completely brand new renovated, and I saw that most of those buyers are actually FHA buyers, first time home buyers that bought it, right? So they have that contingency. So I told him, if you finance it to me, right? And I renovate. All I'm doing now is bringing the money for the renovation, put the renovation in, list it back on the market. So I'm responsible for renovating the property. I'm responsible for reselling the property on the market. I'm responsible for keeping you harmless in case somebody actually hurt themselves inside the property, meaning one of the construction crew, right? If they hurt themselves, you, the owner, because obviously he stays on title, he keeps the title. All I'm doing is I'm going to keep making those monthly payments. So while I'm renovating the home, he's not the one making the monthly payments. Why is that a benefit of me, the buyer? Is because one, I'm paying way less interest than a hard money lender. A hard money lender might charge me, I don't know, 15%. This guy has a VA loan on this home that it was roughly around like 4%. So my monthly payments is way lower. That diminishes, that lowers my operating costs, significantly, right? Now, what is the benefit for him? The benefit for him is one, he's getting the offer that he wants. So he's getting a higher number than what everybody else is trying to offer him. The other thing is I can close way faster. What I mean by closing way faster is I can bring way faster money to the table, give him something up front, obviously, to show him that I'm serious. I think I gave him around like $5,000, gave him that up front, and then the remainder obviously had to wait in the back end. And while I'm renovating the property, he is no longer coming out of pocket to pay the mortgage while I'm doing so. And what is the downside for him? I'm keeping him harmless. This is all on the paperwork, guys. This is all on the paperwork. The structure is all about the paperwork. Everything goes through an attorney, obviously. I use ATG Title in Maryland, Michael Gross, 40 plus years attorney, creative as hell. He knows everything about creative finance. And so he's the one who structured the paperwork. And that paperwork does say that me coming in, bringing the money for the renovation, to renovate the home, list it back on the market. I'm keeping the homeowner harmless, right? I am responsible for selling the property. We have a time limit as to when I'm supposed to cash out. This guy, obviously, I think at the time we wrote like, I think we wrote like 9 months, something like that, because technically I knew the property is only going to take 2 months to renovate, and then potentially like the market was not like it is now, meaning like interest rates are at 6%, homes stay way longer on the market to sell. Properties were selling a little bit faster. So I knew we could sell that property within 30 days to 60 days max, right? Because all the comparables that just sold within the last 6 months didn't last more than 2 months on the market. They sold instantly, right? Because at the time, interest rates with financing with FHA, VA, conventional was around like 4%, 3%. So people was buying homes. People was buying homes. You don't have to kill yourself, right? And so he was like, okay. Then he opened up. When I went there, met him in person, he told me why he's married to the number. He said, listen, the reason I want the $368,000 or $78,000 is because I owe probably $5K less to the bank. Meaning, if I was to give him that money, the 378, only about $5,000 will go in his pockets. The rest has to go to the bank because he had a loan, he had a VA loan in place, right? And that is the reason why he couldn't sell it at 350 to these other cash buyers, because if he were to do that with closing costs, commissions, and all of those things, he would have to come out of pocket probably around $15,000 to $20,000 to sell his home. And he's like, I'm not coming out of pocket to sell my home. I would rather list it on the market and break even completely, but at least get a higher offer to where I'm just walking away, even if I don't make nothing. Another thing I found out is this was around tax season, and this homeowner, he's a high earner, and his tax advisor told him that, hey, if you were to sell this home, if you want to avoid paying taxes this year, don't make any money out of it. Just sell it, break even. If you make any money, your tax liability this year will go to the roof. And so for him, he just wanted to walk. They will not tell you these things, right, guys, on the first call. Typically, you need a little bit more rapport. So you're relentless when you follow up when you call these homeowners, which we were, or when you meet them in person, typically people are way more open to tell you their pain points. So until you find their pain, it's hard for you to even offer them a solution. It's almost like going to the doctor, and then when you walk in, they start first asking you all these different questions before they even get to the what's really hurting you, and then prescribe something to you, right? They need to find the root of the problem first. It's the same thing with this guy. I found out it's not because he needed the money. is what he owes to the bank, and he just wants to make 5K, and that is the 5K I gave him up front. So when we renovated this property, we listed it on the market. The only person that got paid in the back end is his lender, just to cash out his loan. That's it. Now, why did he say yes, guys? Because number one, we were relentless on the follow-up. Number two, I explained to him how he is protected. Is all in the paperwork. I explained to him how we are protected as well. So there is a few different documents we put in place when we do this kind of transactions, guys. You need a purchase and sale agreement, and then you need a power of attorney, a limited power of attorney. We call that POA. And then you need what we call a joint venture agreement with the homeowner. The purchase and sale agreement states exactly how much you guys agree up front. The POA gives you the power to list the property on the market if you're not on title, if you didn't transfer title. And the reason I didn't transfer title is because I didn't want to pay closing costs twice. Technically, you can do it. Technically, you can transfer title, take ownership, still have this homeowner keep that loan in place. You just keep making the monthly payments until you're done renovating the property. And we've done a couple of those as well. Those are called subtails. But in this case, I did what we call just a regular innovation without transferring title. Now, it puts you, the investor, in a little bit more risk, but it's all about the paperwork. So I did prepare him up front, right? That because technically I am renovating a home that I don't own. I don't own the property. You still own the property. I'm renovating the home. And let's say hypothetically, I'm not saying you're going to do this. Guys, this is literally me talking to the homeowner. I'm giving you a script right now. I told him, listen, Anthony, I'm not saying you're going to do this. But we've seen before where homeowners, we come in, we agree to this strategy, they're happy, we're happy, we start renovating the property. Now the property is brand new, beautiful, we list it on the market, and then the homeowner comes back and goes, you know what, I don't want to sell the property anymore. I want to move back in. Because they're still on title, right? You don't own the property yet. You're just a line item at the closing. The attorney will add you as a line item, almost like they will add you almost like the GC, right? And so you're just getting paid based on obviously the agreement that is written. I'll get to that in a minute. And so I prepare him mentally saying, listen, it happened to us before. I'm not saying you're going to do this. I'm not saying you're going to change your mind after we're done renovating the property, because technically I'm renovating the property I don't own. So to be on the safe side, to protect ourselves and protect you as well, we are going to secure the funds that we're going to use for the renovations. So we're going to secure it as a lien against the property on second position. And then what we're going to do is we're going to secure not just that money, but we're going to secure the money plus the potential profits we're going to make in the back end, right? There's multiple different ways you can skin the cat, guys. Remember, whatever you negotiate with the homeowner and you got signed, it goes. Because once you send it to the title company, the title attorney, your title company is like your best friend here. If they really don't know how to do this kind of transactions, you can get in trouble because they're F up the deal. So you need a great title company that has either an in-house attorney, or if they're outsourcing the closing attorney, that is an attorney that is actually familiar with this kind of transactions, novations, subtail, and you have to explain to them and make sure, not the escrow officer, but the attorney, to make sure that they actually know how to structure this kind of deals in the back end, right? Because remember, guys, when you list this property on the market, the people that will buy the property, 99.9% of chance is that this is the homeowner that's going to buy it from you, and they're either taking FHA, VA, or conventional. So the lender that is going to lend them the money to buy the property, obviously, they're going to get the HUD. The HUD is the receipt that you receive when you buy a real estate, purchase. And so when you do a real estate purchase and you receive the HUD, if the lender receives the HUD, they will ask if they see you getting paid, but they don't see you on title, they'll ask who is Mamadou, or who is Mamadou's entity. In this case, I've used an LLC, so it's my entity. And they actually did ask the question, but my attorney already knew. And so the way we're presented on the paperwork, on these 3 documents that we sign, we're presented as the developer, basically the person that's renovated the property, and this is what we spent, and this is what we're getting back. That's it. That's how we structure it, right? So you have a purchase and sale agreement. We agreed on the price up front. And then secondly, I have a power of attorney, so I don't need the owner's authorization to list the property on the market with the realtor that we chose. And third, we have a joint venture. Why a joint venture? Because essentially when you do this, guys, is a partnership with the homeowner. What you're telling the homeowner, actually today, I helped a student of mine try to negotiate this kind of deal. Didn't really work out because there's an agent in between. She wasn't open to it, but it's fine. We just got to follow up. But essentially, what you're doing is you're telling the homeowner, listen, you don't have the money in order time to renovate this property, or even if you have the money, you're not trying to renovate it, but you would like to make $10,000 to $15,000 more. Nobody else is willing to offer you that. I'll offer you that. Right? I'll offer you $10,000 to $15,000 more. I would have paid that if I went to a hard money lender anyway. So the partnership would be, a JV, a joint venture. So one of the agreements would be a joint venture. So the homeowner already their share of the partnership, what they're bringing to the table is the property. But they don't have to go and buy the property. They already have the property. So they're not spending anything. Then they have a loan already in place that they're already qualified for years. So they don't have to go qualify for the loan to bring it to the table as a partner. Now, who's continuing to make the payments? Depend how you negotiate on this deal, because I knew it made sense. I negotiated to where we will be making the payments while we're renovating the property, not the homeowner. I felt like that was fair, right? I was not going to have him make the payments while I'm renovating the property as well. And I know I have enough margins to make profits in the back end. So now you, the partner, what are you bringing? You're bringing the experience because you know how to renovate homes and you do have the time. Secondly, you're bringing the money to renovate. Thirdly, you're bringing the agent that will sell the property. Fourth, you're bringing the insurance, right, that will protect and keep the homeowner harmless because he's still on title on the property in case somebody get hurt while they're working on the property, right? You can scheme this multiple different ways, guys. I've done this where we agreed on the price up front. I've done it where we didn't agree on the price up front and we didn't split in the back end. We've done dozens of this, guys. Dozens of this in Georgia, Maryland, here in the market where we are in Texas. So we always do this kind of deals, especially, when it comes to fix and flips or things like that, because sometimes it's just homeowners are just married to a price. Now, how did we secure the funding for the renovation, right? We agree that the homeowner at this point was willing to be the bank, essentially. They're willing to be the bank. So what we did is with the renovation cost, we went and raised what we call private money, OPM, other people's money. The person that landed on this property to renovate the home, list it back on the market, what they did is they had what we call a self-directed IRA. Self-directed IRA is when somebody takes over their 401k and then they use, I think it's an attorney that they use, and then they change the status of it and they turn it into self-directed IRA. Now they have control of their funds, right? And they can take those funds and deploy it and invest it in things like real estate if they wanted to. And, they don't pay taxes. Obviously, you have to consult your own tax advisors when it comes to this. But if you do that, now you can take your IRA money, your 401k money, and invest it in real estate yourself. And the private lender that lended us the money on this property for the renovation, right? That's what they used to lend us on this property, right? And so we use private money. So first, to purchase the property, what did we do? We turned the seller into the bank, right? We just took over the underlying loans, monthly payments. We didn't go and qualify for the loan. The second thing we did is we went to a third party, complete private. This could be like relationships, guys. This could be your auntie. This could be your dad. This could be a friend of yours. This could be a colleague of yours at your 9 to 5, whatever. We have a diverse range of private lenders. Some of them, we met them at networking events. Some of them came through social media. Some of them came through referrals, whatever. But it's everyday people that have either money sitting in the bank doing nothing, right? Or people that you already have relationships with that you don't even know that had money until you post that you're doing real estate. They'll be like, listen, I wanted to do real estate. It's been years. I just don't know how to find a deal, but here is 50K. I would like to put it to work, and you give them a good return on it, but you find the homes and do all the work, right? It's all over the place, guys. It's called OPM. So that's what we use to renovate the home. So the homeowner became the bank. We went and raised the money for the renovation. So I was out of pocket absolutely zero money. Absolutely zero money, guys. Okay. So this is how I did my first fix and flip. This was my first fix and flip, guys. And honestly, if you're new and you're wondering, how did you do your first fix and flip? You didn't have any experience whatsoever. One of the things is I had a lot of value for people that have experience because I took, like I said, English is my fifth language. And I started calling homeowners that are in distress, pre-foreclosure, tired landlords, having conversations, putting properties under contracts. But instead of going, to these folks with experience and saying, "Hey, pay me an assignment fee up front," when I decided I want to do my first fix and flip, the guy that I did it with is an actual very experienced GC. All I told him is, "Hey, we can do a partnership on this, and in the back end, we just do a profit split." I just want to learn. I just want to learn how do you flip a home. I want to learn the renovation process. I want to learn, the material costs, all these things, but I want to learn hands-on. Monkey see, monkey do, right? So that's how it came about, guys, that I did this property with zero money out of pocket, no job history, and absolutely no credit. I've done dozens of this. I've done it on buy and holds. I've done it on, fix and flip projects. Now on the buy and hold, guys, be mindful. I made a couple of mistakes with this where I took over properties this way, without paying off the loan. It's called subject to, when you convince the homeowner to leave that loan under credit. And you just take over the monthly payments, and then you close on the property and you keep it as whatever, Airbnb, midterm rental, traditional rental. The number one mistake you want to avoid when it comes to that strategy with the buy and holds is stay away from the properties that has no equity whatsoever, because you're taking a risk in the back end in case something happens. Now you cannot sell the property, you cannot refinance it. It's going to be tough to get rid of it. So make sure if you do it, it has equity. The reason I was able to flip dozens of properties this way is because the properties has equity. If they didn't have equity, I wouldn't have been able to sell it. Actually, this property that I'm telling you guys about, we listed it, I think it was 505. We listed it for 505 because we went all in, guys. We even, like I told you guys, we even in the basement, we extended one of the areas in the basement and we added a full-blown movie theater with the seatings. Beautiful, beautiful. It was man, that renovation was beautiful. And so when we were done, we looked at all the comps that sold, and the highest that sold was like 510, something like that. So, the realtor that I was working with at the time, she said, "Listen, it's better to list it just a little bit lower and sell higher than list higher, and then you have to do like a price cut because it does hurt your listings." So so what we're going to do is we're going to list this property at 545. We ended up getting an offer like not even a week after we listed the home, and we got an offer at 525. We sold that property for 525. So after all expenses, guys, we made exactly $84,000 net. That's after the existing loan that was paid. That's after the private money was paid back with interest, 10% it was, and we made $84,000 net on that property, right? So this is a very powerful strategy, guys, that you guys can use to do fix and flips, with no job history, no credit. But here, obviously, you have to be really good at finding off-market deals, calling homeowners that has equity, that have owned their properties for a long time. And if they're interested in selling, potentially you could convince them to become your bank until you renovate the property and list it back on the market. And then if they go with it, guess what? It's all in the paperwork now, how you structure it. If you need help structuring these kind of deals, reach out to me anytime. More than happy to help out with that. Another thing is, guys, even land. Like right now, my team and I, we do real estate development, right? Another strategy that we use to be zero money out of pocket to buy land is we, went in, built up our credit. Right? This is a complete different strategy, but you still zero money out of pocket if you're trying to get into new construction. So we built up our credit, and then we created 3 different LLCs, and we went in with each LLC to get 0% funding for 12 to 18 months through Chase, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo. Guys, fixing your credit up and boosting your credit score and having a great credit profile costs less than the Starbucks that you're buying outside every single day. And so even when it comes to like the new construction now, what we do is if we don't find a homeowner that we can negotiate and then turn them into the bank, we'll create an LLC and then go to Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, secure roughly around like $150,000, and then target land that costs twice as the cash that we have, because typically hard money lenders will be able to finance you 50% of the land purchase. Once you secure the land, then through that you can go ahead and secure your construction costs. And so there also, technically you zero money out of pocket outside of the money that you spend to repair your credit and then the money that you spend to go deposit at the bank and do the seasoning period until you get the funding. I did a whole episode on this with my brother Stephen Blow. You guys can check that out as well on this podcast playlist as well. We had a whole discussion how you can do that as well. But guys, the first strategy that I talked about is a very, very powerful one. If you're somebody who, like I told you guys, there is no excuses whatsoever. If me and myself taught English, I can do this, right? I can do this. And by the way, something we did really wrong on this. We missed something. The title company missed something on this as well, guys. Is when we went to the closing with this guy, we found out he actually had, I think it was like $16,000 IRS lien. I don't know how the title company missed it, right? So when we found that out, I had to like, because technically he could have went, well, you know what, we already agreed to the three whatever, and you gave me 5K, so you guys have to eat that. What ended up happening is I called him and I said, hey, listen, if we do this, I'm probably going to, I don't even know if I would be able to do it, but I just told him so. And I think it freaked him out. It was just a mental thing. I said, if we do this, we're going to have to take the $16,000 that we paid and put it as a mechanic's lien on your now primary residence. Right? So my attorney is going to have to do that because obviously this wasn't part of our agreement. So I would either one, like you to pay, or two, we reach out to the IRS and see if we can negotiate something, right? And he ended up actually taking care of it. He ended up coming with the money to the closing table, paying the $16,000. I told you guys this was a high income earner. He paid the $16,000 and kept the agreement because. So this is one of the headaches that we dealt with in the back end. So this is why I told you guys, you gotta really, really watch out. The title company that you use is very, very key, but also making sure you review all the paperwork when the title companies do the title search, because you don't start the renovations until the title search is completed. Until the title search is completed. So the first time you talk to the homeowner, you put them under contract because they agreed to become the bank. The first thing you do is open escrow. So you contact your title company or title attorney, depending which state you're in. You open escrow, you put earnest money in, and you do a title search before you even start renovating the property, because you don't want to renovate the property with a bunch of other liens that the owner didn't tell you about. So we did that. The problem is I don't know how the title company missed the IRS lien. It wasn't our fault at all. We saw it in the back end, but luckily, guys, all you have to do sometimes is come back to the negotiation table. Right? So one of two things could have happened. And I just did this on the property, by the way. One of two things. It was either one, he was going to pay, which he did. Let's say hypothetically, he said he didn't have the money. What I was going to do is to tell him, okay, if we front it, meaning the deducted from our profits, you're going to have to sign that we lended you $16,000 and I'm going to add a return on that money. And we're going to take that note. Two documents we're going to sign, a note and a deed of trust. And we're going to take these two documents and we're going to secure that $16,000 plus its returns on your primary residence. And if you don't pay me, then I have the right to foreclose on your primary residence. He was obviously not going to do that because he has $1 million property. So he preferred him figuring out to find the money and come and bring it to the closing table. But I just did this, guys, on a home that I bought this exact same way, where $80,000, the homeowner had $80,000 on second position, which is a HELOC. And I've negotiated to where the homeowner will pay for that $80,000. And we've signed a paperwork saying he's going to pay it, right? He'll figure out a way to pay it because we had to pay at the closing table when we sold the property. So anything you negotiate, guys. So you're definitely in a beautiful market. If you're in markets like Texas, Arizona, Arkansas, Tennessee, these kind of markets, guys, which markets am I forgetting? I'm not forgetting any market, guys. These markets here, these actual kind of deals is very common. Like even the homeowners are very familiar, like Texas, Arizona, homeowners are Florida. Florida is one of them. They're very, very familiar with selling properties and, with unconventional ways, meaning not traditional, like going into the bank, showing your credit, putting the down payment. They're very familiar with selling homes this way. So it's very easy to negotiate. Let me not say easy. Let me say simple. It's very simple to negotiate these kind of deals in states like this. But guys, where I did this, my first probably 5 fix and flips that I did this way, I did them in Maryland, which is a blue state. Not too familiar. All I had to do is explain every single time properly how the transaction works, how the transaction is legal, how is the homeowner protected, how am I protected, what if hypothetically. So I give them a couple of hypothetical scenarios. If this happens in the back end, we're gonna handle it this way. If that happens in the back end, we're gonna handle it that way. So guys, can you flip homes? With no job history and no credit? Absolutely. But you're going to have to take your courage and start marketing to off-market properties, tired landlords, pre-foreclosures, preferably we use auction.com, pre-foreclosures.com to find these homes. Once we find them, we handle them. We don't even, we typically, guys, we focus on properties that have equity. Homeowners that are on the older side have owned this property for 15, 20 plus years so that they've built equity, because at the end of the day, when you get these deals, what you want is be able to renovate it and sell it back on the market. But typically, if you lend on the right homeowners, you can, convince them to become your bank. So you don't have to obviously, go to the bank and show your credit and all of that. Now, anybody, even within our community right now, guys, you are absolutely required, even while you're doing this kind of transaction, you're learning how to underwrite the deals, how to find it, how to negotiate with these homeowners, right? Because at the end of the day, as a real estate investor, you want multiple tools in your tool belt, not just one tool, right? You want multiple tools in your tool belt. Nowadays, knowing what I know and the power of credit, especially if you're in the US market, guys, you are absolutely required. Anybody within our closed circle, our students, everybody, the number one thing you do soon as you get into the community is you must go either build your credit from the ground up or repair your credit, boost it, create a great credit profile is a must. Otherwise, you're not staying in the community. I'm telling you guys. So even if you learn this strategy, make sure your credit is always on point. Don't listen to them gurus online. You don't need credit. Credit is trash. Just forget about credit. Here in the US, you absolutely need it. Always make sure you have 700 plus. Credit score, guys, is going to open so many doors for you, especially when you're trying to scale, and do higher level strategies, guys. All right, guys. Well, let me know how you like this episode today, guys. Let me know if you learned anything. And obviously, you guys make sure you look out for a new episode every single Thursday, 5 p.m. CST, guys. Again, this is the Boom Effect podcast. The Boom stands for being bold, obsessed, optimistic, and having a mindset that's abundant, guys. There is enough for everybody out there, guys. Nobody's coming to save you. No new government is going to change anything. There is opportunities if you start looking for them yourself. If you stay on the sideline until something magical happens through the government, you will never invest in real estate, guys. There is opportunities out there. Learn how to find off-market deals. If me, self-taught English immigrant can do it, you can absolutely do it. I don't know what else to tell you guys. All right, guys, make sure you smash the like button. Obviously, subscribe to the channel, leave the comment below, and I'll see you guys on the next podcast episode. Guys, until then, stay blessed. Boom, boom, boom.